Okay, we should be rolling. So the biggest difference I noticed, giving Hercs, even if it's at the walk, giving him about a half an hour to just move around before I get on, he's a whole lot more comfortable, a whole lot less resistant when I get on. So this video, I'm just going to show 5 minutes one direction, 5 minutes the other direction. It's not too exciting to watch, but what I love is when I come out here on the bigger circle that he just sort of stays focused, stays calm, finds long and low, and starts releasing muscle tension to the point that he's offering me a lot more forward. So from just one leg aid, he's maintaining the walk. I'm not going to give a leg aid unless he halts. I want to just ride what he offers me. And he's still a little bit crooked, so we're still working on getting that back more level, getting the neck a little straighter, keeping the reins really light, and just letting him get more and more comfortable, muscularly especially, in the walk, right? As the trot and the canter start to become a little bit more energetic, as my aids are not quite so strong or so frequent on the lunge line, then we'll start trotting under saddle. But that's a bit of a slow process because he's got a lot of coordination to change. He's got a lot of muscle tension to release. So we're just keeping the rides. Usually I do 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes the other. Typically we start off to the right, which is his easier direction. And it's just a nice, easy, pleasant ride. Finding more and more length. So as he shortens his neck a little, he's just getting a tiny bit crooked. Still have to get the tree trimmers out here. But with every step he's taking, it's like giving him a massage. He's just releasing as he's gained more skeletal coordination and more stability through the midline, and we've worked through that left twist quite a bit. There's still a lot of residual tightness and habits of movement that we're just letting change. So each time he's lengthening his neck, that's going through the back muscles, through the muscles of the hindquarter, and they're just restoring a healthy amount of tone. So rather than that shortening contraction, I'm not asking for a lot of contraction. I'm letting him fall on the forehand and long and low because I just want him to find more and more comfort in motion. So the more steps I get in the posture of long and low, and I can feel it under the saddle, he just gets softer through his muscles. And as he softens up muscularly and lets go of that, pattern of holding and tightening the muscles for stability, he gets more comfortable. The more comfortable he gets, the more forward he offers me. So when we worked on the small circle on the long reins or the small circles under saddle, that was just for the point of gaining a little bit more engagement, a little bit more hindquarter stability, so that when we come off the small circle, if he can retain that minimal amount of hindquarter engagement, then he can stay in the posture of long and low and really keep untwisting that spine and all the muscles that had sort of tightened up supporting the twist. I thought he was maybe going to have a pee. So I'm just going to, this will just be a very quick video to show, hopefully the camera's still following, just to show a nice, easy ride, right? He gets a little distracted by the environment. I make minimal corrections to keep stabilizing this new coordination, this new posture. But even though he's quick to get into this posture, I'm not quick to move him on yet because I'm still waiting for a level of comfort that he decides he likes moving forward. So in other words, it's more up to him how much comfort he needs to enjoy moving forward. So we're just at this stage where it's kind of a pleasant, easy ride for half an hour, keeps loosening up the muscles, reinforcing the new coordination, and with every ride, he gains a little more ease and a little more ease. Really? Right here in front of the camera? Really? Okay. Sorry about that. Right there. Yep. Thank you, Hercules. So that's just the first 5 minutes this way. Typically, I'll do 15 minutes each direction. And if he's like this the entire ride, then we're making progress faster and faster. When he shortens the neck, gets distracted, gets worried, all of that is a bit of a setback, and it triggers his old habit and pattern of dropping his back and twisting left. So even without his full sort of 15 minutes easy direction, right? He's a tiny bit slower on the harder direction, which is fine. He tends to get a little more distracted on the harder direction, but not bad. So we're just going to keep this easy. And again, on the harder direction, I might give him an extra 5 minutes. I might let him, even on some rides, do 20 minutes or 25 minutes on the harder side if he warms up quicker on the easy side. But I want to get both directions equal. So at a certain point, I don't want to work him harder, again, because the harder I ask him to work, the more that discourages his desire to go forward. This is all about making things easy and comfortable until the forwardness starts to come through. And it always does come through, but it takes a while with these kind of horses because it's a complicated issue. When I say uncomfortable, it means that mechanically their coordination is in a pattern where moving forward is creating more tension, more discomfort, makes movement harder and less enjoyable, and that's why they lose forward. So we have to be pretty patient with restoring comfort to the motion by understanding, right, what spinal alignment is, how to correct a rotation issue, which was his most significant issue, how to build up a little bit more engagement, how to get him out of the posture of extension in the posture of long and low as just the first counterbalance to a long-term habit that was creating more discomfort in his body and in his movement, right? So you can see it takes a little bit more guidance from me. I have to give aids more frequently, more obviously. He still shortens his neck a bit more rather than just maintaining that posture of long and low like he did going to the right. So that's what I mean by it being his harder direction, or we could say his less comfortable direction, or we could say his more complicated direction to unwind, right? But as it unwinds and the two sides equalize, the more frequently he's releasing that excessive tension, moving in long and low, I know the more comfortable he's going to feel. And every horse that doesn't go forward starts to voluntarily offer more and more forward, right? Sometimes it just means I'm giving fewer leg aids, fewer taps with the whip, lighter leg aids, right? Like now, I'm not having to squeeze with my legs at all. He's just maintaining forward, which means I can focus on the feel of the balance and keep helping him with my guidance improve the coordination, especially to the left, to the point that it makes him even more comfortable moving forward to the left. That's the objective. Really? Every excuse. But at least he goes right away. So that's 5 minutes this direction. And I'm just going to keep going this direction. This is what happens with any kind of chronic twist or chronic lateral bend, or one-sidedness is what we usually call it in the horses. Okay. On the difficult side, I plan on just spending more time. It's going to be slower. I'm going to be giving more aids. I'm going to have more resistance on the harder direction. But I don't want to make the more difficult direction even less comfortable. I want to make it more comfortable. So my solution has just been give him more time to work through all the little habits, patterns, challenges until it starts to feel more similar to the easy direction. And when both directions feel equal, they might not be great, but we have resolved some kind of internal one-sidedness, right? So the more I can help gain comfort to the left and at least maintain that posture of long and low to the left as easily as he does to the right, as consistently as he does to the right, that tells me we've worked through whatever little residual challenges are still in there from his long-term habit of a severe left twist with a left lateral bend. And every ride, as he gains more and more comfort, he also offers me a little bit more forward, a little bit less resistance, right? But we're talking physical changes, and so that's what takes time. It's no faster for a horse to get comfortable in forward motion than it is for us to get comfortable running a 5K or a marathon or going to the gym every day. Changing that habit of use and the muscle use that supports it, how the muscles are used, that just takes time and repetition. So this check-in with Hercs, I am super happy with how he's going along. I'm getting a lot less resistance, even on the difficult side. The corrections are much lighter, both directions. They're lighter, they're even lighter and less frequent when we track right. They're a lot more frequent when we track left, but not hard to get him to go forward off the leg or straighten his neck or level off his back. It just takes him longer because it's his less comfortable, more complicated direction. There. So the first 5 minutes, I had to give a lot of corrections. I got very little strides in the long and low I was looking for. Now the second 5 minutes, he's made some changes. He's starting to offer the long and low posture a little sooner and for a few more strides. And that is the process. Please don't take me into the tree branch. Let's steer a little bit. Thank you. So giving him double the amount of time, right, on the harder direction with the same aids, with the same objective, it's just gently guiding his body towards more and more comfort in motion until he can do it for himself. For himself, he would do it. How I know when I've equalized the space, when I'm not working so hard, kind of feels the same going right as it does going left. When we have a big discrepancy between the left and right direction like he has, then it sort of tells you there's an issue with lateral bending, there's an issue with rotation. There might also be an issue with the hindquarters not being engaged enough or stable enough, but that will just be part of the picture and not usually the primary issue. The primary issue is going to be related to a lateral bend or a lateral twist there. As he starts to work his way through it, he goes slower, but he doesn't offer to halt. Right? He's a little heavier on the reins, a little heavier on my leg, but manageable. So he's trying. He's trying to work it. There's the first biggest change where he lets go of that pattern holding. Yeah. And even the pressure against my right seat bone lightened up a little bit there. Where usually when we go left, I have to really put a lot of weight to the right because he pulls me and the saddle over to the left. That's the left twist through his spine that we've been recovering. Yeah. So now with, we're 10 minutes to the left where we only did 5 minutes to the right. And I'm just going to throw in another 5 minutes on this harder direction because I can just feel him starting to work through his internal challenges and find the relief. So in another 5 minutes, I'm hoping he volunteers more lengthening of the neck and stays there for more strides. That would tell me he's letting go of very old patterns of tension and starting to feel stable with this change of use through his body. I know, we got to aim between the pile of poop and the tree branch if we can. Yes. Very good. So that gentle sort of taking of the reins is him wanting to lengthen the neck. And when that's done, because the midline is straight and level, then that release of muscle tension or shortening contraction that right now we can see in the neck, when he goes to lengthen his neck, just there, it's going all the way through the back and the hindquarters. It's not just the neck, right? So that's a change in his coordination that changed the posture, that changed the muscle use, or actually changed the skeletal coordination, which then changes the muscle use, which then changes the posture. It's actually that order. Yeah, now he's starting to make a little bit better change, and you can see the change brings him relief. It feels better to him, which is the whole point. It's the whole point of learning about mechanics and how the horse's body is supposed to work, so that we're bringing ease and efficiency and comfort into his job of carrying a rider, right? Some horses start with a lot of problems, some only have a few. Every horse has to learn how to balance with a rider on board. That's not a given. Just because they're big enough to hold us up there doesn't mean they're very good at it. So the more we learn about what the spinal functions are, how that affects the global coordination of the body, how that affects the muscle use and the use of the joints, tendons, and ligaments, right? All of that is important for us to understand, especially for a horse like him, that his dysfunctional habits, his sort of habits of imbalance that developed around real physical pain. Whoop, there goes a shoulder clunk. That was a nice release around the left front shoulder. So slowly but surely, we're gaining that muscular change that we're looking for as a result of guiding the coordination of the skeleton, right? That's got to feel better. He's had a very tight left shoulder, and that little clunk, that sort of funny step he just took, was a release of a shortening contraction, restoring suppleness, restoring the appropriate amount of tone, right? Then he feels even better, right? So the better he feels ride by ride by ride, the quicker he can work through some of those old habits, old muscle patterns, old coordination patterns, right? And each time we move into a coordination that's a little more comfortable for him, he's going to desire to move forward. He's going to enjoy moving forward. He's going to enjoy being ridden. That's the point. Right? But if we get impatient and we use the conventional wisdom of just make him go faster, one way or another, you never gain comfort in forward motion. So you end up having to do that the entire life of the horse, because until they're comfortable going forward, they're going to be better at halt and better at evading you or avoiding you or pushing through you, because if it's not comfortable to move forward, why move forward, right? So the strategy of training is alter the physical coordination, improve the physical coordination in a way that's the least amount of discomfort, provides the most amount of comfort, and then they all the horses like this start to just offer more and more forward. They start to improve their gaits because good balance is efficient, good balance is comfortable, and they're a horse. So of course they want to go forward, but they don't want to go forward if they're not comfortable. So I don't believe horses are lazy. They're built to move. They're designed to move. The only reason they don't want to move is when movement becomes uncomfortable. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It doesn't feel good. Maybe it even creates a pain issue to move forward, right? All of those things are the only reasons that horses lose forward. And by beating them and using leverage, it's not going to help them get more comfortable. You have to use your mind. You have to use knowledge. You have to outthink the horse and understand what he needs in order to go forward. And like you saw in the lunge line, that's, not without a harsh aid or two, but not chronic, not constant, and needs to be used very judiciously, only as a way to get him exploring more energy. But how long that energy lasts is up to him and his level of comfort. Okay, so now I think that's we're coming up on 15 minutes. I lost track of time. But I think we did 15, if not 20 minutes. No, I think we did 15 minutes to the left and 5 minutes to the right. I think, or we did 5 minutes to the right, that I know for sure. And we either just did 15 or 20 minutes to the left. But now he's starting to feel there's a little bit more energy coming through the walk, right? He's starting to want to lengthen the neck more frequently, and my aids are getting lighter. My corrections are lessening in the feel, like the amount of force it takes. Even though they're still more frequent than when I ride him to the right, they're less frequent than they were 10 minutes ago. So that tells me he's gaining that coordination and he's starting to hold it. Why would he do that? He does it because it's more comfortable. That's what takes a little convincing and a little guidance. But the better we get at that, the sooner the horses want to go forward. Right, so that's our check-in with Hercs. And we'll probably, again, really? I've got other horses to video and catch up on. But in pretty much his program since the last videos I did on Hercs, instead of doing a lunging day and a riding day, I just do a lunging for half an hour, riding for half an hour. And on the days where I think he needs a break from riding, then I do the long reins, but the long reins on the bigger circle instead of the smaller circle. Again, trying to improve the comfort factor by helping him find the size circle where he can stay forward and start to find long and low. And when I start to see a little bit better trot, a little bit better canter on the lunge line, that's when we're going to start trying it under saddle. But as long as it's kind of lethargic, not so great on the groundwork, then if he's struggling without a rider on his back, this particular horse always makes more progress through groundwork without a rider, and then we get to carry it into the saddle. Not all horses are like that, but for Hercules, everything I do kind of has to be pretty good on the ground, and then I can start working on it under saddle. Where's my remote? Okay, so that's the update with Hercs.